On the news, Nigerian lawmakers approved medium-term expenditure framework for revised 2020 budget. Edo State Police Command arrests suspects linked to rape and killing of Uniben undergraduate. And Nigeria begins second phase of eased COVID-19 lockdown. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidalia Aguncha. We begin with the latest from the National Assembly. Lawmakers at the Senate have passed the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper projections upon which the revised 2020 budget would be predicated. This followed the submission and consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Finance presented by the Chairman, Solomon Adeola, during plenary on Tuesday. Following this, the Red Chamber increased the oil benchmark from $25 per barrel to $28 per barrel and also reduced the daily oil output from 1.9 million to 1.8 million barrels. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request to borrow $22.7 billion. The Green Chamber approved the request after the lawmakers considered the report by the Committee on AIDS, Loan and Debt Management. According to the President, the loan will be used to finance key infrastructures in the country. Let's now move to Edo State, where the State Police Command has arrested one person suspected to have been part of the gang that raped and killed Uwaila Omozua. Spokesman for the State Police Command, Chidi Nwabuzo, who confirmed the arrest, said the suspect was nabbed following examination on a fingerprint gotten from the fire extinguisher used to attack her. Omozua was killed while studying inside a church in Benin City. She was raped severally by her attackers and hit on the head afterwards. According to the State Police Command, she died 3 days later at the hospital where she was receiving treatment. Now, while further investigations are still ongoing to identify and apprehend other persons involved in the gruesome murder of the 22-year-old undergraduate, the Edo State government has been commiserating with the family of the deceased. Wife of the state governor, Betsy Obaseki, who paid a visit to the family, the home of the late Uwaila, consoled her grieving father. She assured him that his daughter's death will help bring justice to other victims of rape and abuse in Edo State and Nigeria at large.
It will not be in vain. It will go a long way to save many lives, many innocent lives in this state and in this country. Her death will not be in vain. Be rest assured of that. And also rest assured that she's with God. She's with God. This life, no matter how long you live, if you live it to 100 years and at the end of it, you don't make heaven, you don't make it to your creator, then there was no point. It was all wasted. Right now, as a hero, a heroine, and a light in these dark ages, her death has brought about light in Edo State, light in Nigeria. Do you understand? They quenched, snipped life from her, brought darkness upon her life by taking her life away, but that life, God has turned it into light to begin to shine in Edo State and in Nigeria at this time. And this light, little light of hers, will bring many more to God. And at the end, Uwaila would have saved many more lives than she would have saved if she had lived 100 years ago.
Well, in the same spirit, lawmakers at the Nigerian Senate have asked the federal government to raise more awareness on the dangers of rape and abuse against women. The call followed a motion raised by Senator Sandy Ono during plenary on Tuesday in Abuja. Ono condemned the rape and murder of 22-year-old Uwaila Omozua, stressing that brutality against the girl child is on the rise. He said, with these events, Nigerian girls can no longer live their lives with confidence. After debating on the matter, the Senate resolved to call for the arrest of the perpetrators and mandated security agencies to deploy strategies to check the rising case of rape in the country. Well, the National Assembly has been asked to declare the seat of Ojiuzo Kalu vacant over his continued absence in Parliament. The request was made by a group of youth who staged a protest at the National Assembly complex on Tuesday. The request follows a ruling of the Federal High Court ordering the Nigerian Correctional Services to immediately release the former governor of Abia State. Kalu is in the Kuje Correctional Service Center following his conviction last December for looting 7.65 billion naira belonging to the Abia State government. The Supreme Court had last month nullified Kalu's conviction on grounds that the judge lacked jurisdiction to hear the matter. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has extended an olive branch to the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomale, saying he's ready to put aside their differences and work together for the growth of Edo State. He said this while briefing State House correspondents in Abuja after a visit to President Muhammadu Buhari.
It's unfortunate that he's taking the position he has taken. I believe that he was misguided, well, not properly guided. And as governor, I'm his governor. And it is my responsibility to seek peace for my state and with all my citizens. I will continue to strive for peace. I will continue to pursue peace for the sake and interest of our people. I'm open. I have always said that, that we should talk about how to move things forward. We cannot turn back the hands of the clock. So there are certain things we just must accept and see how we can move forward and build on, where we are. So the relationship is still frosty. I'm doing all I can, doing my best to try and make it warm, trying to make just for the sake of Edo people. Whatever it will take to have peace, whatever it will take not to lose lives in Edo, I'm committed to.
Nigerian reggae legend Majek Fashek has died. He was born on March 7, 1963 in Benin City and had a 3-decade-long career working with top international music artists like Snoop Dogg, Jimmy Cliff and many others. TV360's Aneta Felix has more in this report.
Majek Fashek, also known as Majek Fashek, performing one of his biggest hits, So Long.
So long.
The reggae music icon, singer-songwriter and guitarist released the song in 1991 and performed it to live audiences across several continents. As Bob Marley was to the Caribbean, Majek Fashek was the voice of freedom on the African continent, spurring thoughts of liberation to all who heard him.
Arise from your sleep, Africa. Arise from your sleep, America. There's work to be done, Africa. So much work to be done, America. Humanity.
On this stage, Majek Fashek performs the hit track Holy Spirit with another Nigerian music star, Innocent Dibia, also known as Tubaba. Released in 2017, it was a duet many fans describe as spiritually uplifting.
No more sorrow, no more sorrow, no more weeping, no more weeping, no more crying, no more crying. Yeah, Holy Spirit, take over. I am sorry.
It came as a rude shock to many when his manager released this video announcing that the music star had lost a long battle for his health to cancer.
Yes, it is true that the legend has gone to meet with the Lord, but this time I want to say we should all celebrate him, his achievement. He has done a lot for Nigeria, Africa, and whatever the family decide will get to you. This is all I have to say for now. Thank you, everyone.
And tributes have been pouring in from all quarters to the soul of the Rainmaker, Majek Fashek. Anetta Felix, TV360, Nigeria.
We'll take a break here to bring you the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Now, Nigeria has begun the second phase in the gradual easing of the lockdown imposed to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, completely reopening its financial sector and reviewing the nationwide lockdown. National Coordinator for the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Sani Aliu, at a press conference in Abuja gave key highlights of new guidelines that will characterize the second phase of the eased lockdown. He said the nationwide lockdown will now curfew will now be between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., while the ban on interstate travel will remain in place. According to the PTF, the second phase of the eased lockdown will be in place for 4 weeks, starting from today, June 2nd.
The nationwide curfew will remain in place, but the timing of this will be reduced to 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. And just to clarify, the purpose of the curfew is to limit social interactions and therefore reduce the risk of transmission of the virus. Persons that are on essential duty, including but not limited to those involved in the provision of healthcare services, media services, and critical infrastructure, are exempted from the curfew. 3. There will be full opening of the financial sector, with banks now allowed to operate normal working hours 5 days a week. 4. The mass gathering of more than 20 people outside of a workplace or places of worship remains prohibited. 5. There will be controlled access to markets and locations of economic activities, but local authorities will continue to provide guidance on opening times. 6. Restricted opening of places of worship will be based on state government protocols and with strict guidelines on physical distancing and other non-pharmaceutical interventions. And just to clarify, this will apply to regular church and mosque services only.
Meanwhile, Nigerians have been reacting to the decision of the federal government to begin the second phase of the COVID-19 lockdown. Well, let's now take a listen to what they've been saying.
It's a good thing in a good direction, opening up the places of worship so that people can worship their gods. But in worshiping, we should still know that coronavirus is very, very real. If flights are opened up to fly, domestic flights, then the interstate travel should equally be opened. You can't expect people, because it's like the flights are made for the rich. Not everybody that can afford a flight. A flight of about, let's say, 30-something thousand or thereabout. Some people will prefer, even if they have such money, when they look at their status, their financial status, they will say, okay, I'll prefer going by road than flying.
I would say it's safe, I would say it's not safe. Because like in the advanced country, based on what we're watching and what we've been hearing, they have put modalities towards such things, how to curtail the coronavirus. But in Nigeria, I don't think those kind of measures are being put in place. So if actually places of worship and other places can be reopened, let them fix all those necessary things that need to be done to curtail the coronavirus before those kind of things can work.
Well, the easing of the COVID-19 lockdown is coming at a time when Nigeria's COVID-19 toll is fast on the rise. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Monday confirmed 416 new COVID-19 cases in 19 states and the Federal Capital Territory. With the latest update, the COVID-19 case toll for Lagos has exceeded 5,000 as the state recorded 192 cases on Monday. According to the NCDC update, 12 deaths were recorded and the number of fatalities increased from 287 to 299, while recoveries rose from 3,007 to 3,122. A total of 10,578 cases have now been confirmed in 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory. We'll take a break here to bring you more stories still on the COVID-19 pandemic. Don't go away.
Now believe this corrupting. You know if you touch black man. If you like, gather the whole Niger, come together, make a cough. Nothing.
Which one you want?
Give me V and D.
I beg, get small pieces.
How much you want to give him?
Give me 200. Take your change now.
You don't want your change. My people, this coronavirus, na serious matter. May una wash your hands regularly. Come use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you no see water, wash your hand. Make una sit down for house. You see this virus, so e no get leg. Now we dey waka kurukere. No waka around, make the virus for die. No forget, say the betterment of our people. Now for your handy day.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki says his administration has adopted measures to contain the COVID-19 outbreak in the state. Briefing journalists after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja, Obaseki said Edo State is likely to reach its peak in the third week of June. He also announced that his government has increased its testing capacity, which is behind the emergence of new cases in the state.
We've enjoyed a very good relationship with the PTF. We've gotten a lot of support from NCDC. Don't forget, we have the IRWA Specialist Teaching Hospital, which is a center for infectious diseases in Edo. And what we've done as a government is that we have leveraged those resources, the federal resources in the state. So with IRWA Specialist Teaching Hospital, with the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, we've been able to pull high-caliber medical personnel as part of our COVID-19 response team within Edo State. And we meet every day to review all aspects of our responses. And we're not being taken unawares, because from the very beginning, we're one of the few states who did our own epidemiological survey. So we have an epidemiological model which told us upfront how the virus was going to progress and when it will peak. That model told us that it will peak in Edo by the third week in June, specifically June 28th. We have screened 300,000 of our citizens today. Our goal is to screen 10% of our population, which is about 500,000, and test a minimum of 5,000. Today, we have tested about 2,000. We have 3,000 to go. And the more tests we do, the more we see incidents.
Still to come is business stories after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. We'll now join Annetta Felix for the latest in business. Hello, Annetta.
Hello, Fidelia.
So I hear Aviation Minister has been explaining how the federal government is planning to reopen the aviation space. Could you give us more details?
That's true, Fidelia. The federal government has directed domestic flight operators to come up with protocols that will lead to the resumption of flights from June 21st. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 gave the directive following approval from President Muhammadu Buhari. The group adds that the aviation industry must develop protocols that will mandate airlines to ensure physical distancing, and that's by reducing passenger capacity and ensuring provision of sanitizers and personal protective gear.
We have looked at all the things that we need to do to be able to open. They are broadly divided into two broad classifications. The first is that there is a technical aspect of it, and then there is a health side of it. On the technical aspect, there are the aircraft themselves that have been parked for about 3 months, not being run. We have to ensure that within now and that time, these airplanes are good and safe to fly. The maintenance for aircraft is either usage or calendar time, whichever comes first. And there are protocols to storages of such craft, either for short term, for long term, or forever. That is being done currently, so the airline industry needs to be able to bring those machines to safe operations. On the health side, there is how the passenger will ensure that he has wearing a mask, perhaps a face shield, physical distancing, clean surfaces, getting the airports back to accept this new culture, new way, new system of travel all over again.
After this break, we'll be reviewing activities on the stock market today. The bulls have sustained their positive run on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the market indices showing a 0.27% increase in the all-share index, and that's with the market cap rounding off at 13.241 trillion naira. Here are the percentage laggards, percentage gainers today: Dangote Cement, Guarantee Trust Bank, as well as MTN Nigeria and NASCON Allied Industries PLC. On the other hand, those percentage laggards are UACN, Union Bank of Africa. We also have on the list PZ Cussons and Lafarge Africa PLC, or WAPCO. And moving on now to the market summary, we see the 377.882 million shares valued at 6.058 billion naira exchange hands in a total of 4,585 deals. And onto the foreign markets. Let's see how it's doing today. Pretty bullish for all the stocks here in the US, the UK and Japan. FTSE 100 was up 51 points, and that was buoyed by aerospace and oil stocks. For the Dow, we see here that US stocks have surprisingly closed higher after a night of civil unrest across the US after the killing of George Floyd. The Dow Industrials cranked out a 0.3% gain, closing at 0.80% in its all-share index. And in Japan right here, the market was also bullish as the coronavirus cases slows down across Asia. And that's it from here, Fidelia.
Thank you very much, Annetta, for that update. Let's now move to the foreign scene. Libya's warring factions have agreed to restart ceasefire talks after weeks of intense fighting near the capital Tripoli escalated by foreign arms. In a statement posted online, the United Nations support mission in Libya said it welcomed their plan to resume talks. Since April 2019, the eastern-based Libyan National Army of Khalifa Haftar have been waging an offensive to seize the capital Tripoli from the internationally recognized government of national accord. 2 ceasefires have already been agreed this year, but fighting between both parties have continued. The peacemaking efforts were further complicated following the resignation of UN envoy Ghassan Salman in March, with the Security Council yet to agree on a successor. And to sports, former professional boxer Floyd Mayweather has offered to cover the funeral expenses for George Floyd, the African-American man who died of asphyxiation when a police officer knelt on his neck for minutes. Mayweather's promotional company, Mayweather Promotions, confirmed on Twitter he had made the offer, and several local media reports have said the family have accepted. TMZ Sport tweeted a picture of a check from Mayweather to George Floyd's funeral service for $88,500. The Minneapolis officer who kneeled on Floyd's neck, Derek Chauvin, has been sacked and charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for joining us. Bye for now.